I think part of what makes somebody a great copywriter or a great videographer or a great creative is their creativity, right? So it's much easier to train a system to crunch data and make decisions based on that input to then create outputs, right? It's like it's very binary, or much more formulaic to do things like, hey, let's create an AI that can basically manage our media buying in terms of it can set budgets, it can scale budgets, it can turn things off, turn things on, it can deploy new campaigns, pause. Like having something do that is way more realistic in the next few years because that's all based just purely on numbers and data, right? It's hey, when this cost goes up, we need to do something over here. When this cost goes down, there's opportunity, we need to go over here. When you're talking about how do you write an incredibly compelling sales page for a very specific type of customer, that's tough to train because there are so many scenarios, and each one of those scenarios has these uh, unique nuances and differences that there isn't enough input, right? There's enough input to train any type of system on scaling ads because it could look at millions and millions and millions of ads across all of these ad accounts across Facebook in a period of time and understand that increasing budgets by this much at this time for this audience has this, like that's there's a lot of that data. Whereas like using these types of words in this structure of sentence this long for this specific type of person trying to sell a price point product, that like that's a very specific use case and scenario, and there's not a lot of that data out there. And machine learning, and then on top of that AI, is only as good as the amount of data it can analyze, right? If you can't feed these things, that's why Facebook gets better the more data it has. It needs massive amounts of data to be effective. Otherwise, it's just some fancy technology that doesn't really do much for you. So I think fields like copywriting and videography and the creative fields eventually, yeah, I mean, they'll be able to be replaced. Eventually, technology will be so good that you'll everything potentially could be replaced in 100 years, every job type. Um, but in the near term, I don't see, like, let's put it this way: in the next 5 years or so, I don't see uh, agencies, marketing firms, e-commerce. I don't see like companies just firing the copywriters, right, and saying we're just going to go all in on AI and just have this software write all of our sales letters, because I just don't think that they can beat like a really great copywriter. You take like some of the best copywriters at Agora and some of these companies and put them up against some software. Like I just there's so many nuances to writing great copy that I would bet money that there's no way in the next few years that they'll be beat. Now, eventually they will. If it's 6 years from now, 10 years from now, yeah, maybe it speeds up. Maybe it is 3, 5 years, but I really don't see that happening.